Hey everybody, my name is Daryl and this is Dion.
Hello!
And welcome to Where We Stand, a series where we talk about the games we recently played and discuss how much we may or may not have enjoyed them. Today, we're talking about Ori and the Blind Forest, which is possible. It's possibly on the Xbox One. I'm kidding with you. It's on Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. We will be discussing spoilers, for what spoilers we do speak of. Now that we're queued up and ready to go, let's get started.
Let's talk about our experience with the series. There's two games. This is the first one we're talking about. This is the first time I've played it. I heard of the game with good reviews. I think we should expand by talking a little bit of our experience with platformers. Platformers are pretty historic, right? Pretty historic. They're pretty big entities in the gaming world, the whole genre. And I played multiple Crash Bandicoot, Mario, some of the big names. I also played some of the smaller Celeste, very good one. And so this game kind of is its own style of platformer. And we'll talk further about that. But I've played a good amount of them, and I think that gives us some good background on what this would be, even though it's a new series. How about you, Daryl?
I've heard about the game from my brother. He's the one who mostly told me about the game. Otherwise, I've heard good reviews and here and there about it. I've seen it at a lot of different indie game award shows and whatnot. So I figured when we talked about it, that it would be a good time to hop into it. Mostly because I was very curious about Will-O-Wisp, but I really wanted to start with Ori and the Blind Forest since it looks like the narrative here continues there. And that's typically how sequels work, so I didn't know what I was
True.
expecting.
I haven't heard actually anything about Will-O-Wisp, but except that it's a great game.
Yeah.
Let's, Will-O-Wisp, hopefully we get to it. But first, let's talk a little bit about the story overview. The story for me, not a huge part, but for this game, you play as Ori, the spirit guardian located in the forest of Nibel. When the forest is dying, Ori sets out on an adventure to save the decaying forest from the Dark Owl. And that's really the synopsis of the game. I mean, there's some more details there, but you, as Ori, are really looking to save this forest. You have kind of this guardian spirit, I want to say, that looks like almost like a Tinkerbell, to be honest. Like, just, the glowing light. That's how they look. And it guides you through the game, tells you where to go, how to save the forest, and even to face the Dark Owl, which is super cool. So it's kind of just a backdrop to the game, you know what I mean? I know there's the intro. I didn't play too much of that intro, which I feel bad about. But otherwise than that, I thought the story was, just needed to give you context. How about you?
I thought the story was, I don't want to say good, but I also don't want to say bad. I thought it was good for what they were going for. And by that, I mean, it gave me the same vibes as, a TV show or a Disney movie, I should say, that doesn't really do anything remarkable, but it's still a nice story regardless. So I don't have any problems with the narrative. I have a lot to say about the gameplay, but we'll get to that in a moment. But narratively, it's a good story. It's a good story, and there are parts of it that did, at least for me personally, make me go, no, aw, it's a cute game. It's cute, but it's
that's
also
a good word. I like that. It's cute. I agree. Definitely a cute game. Story make you a little sad, a little owl buddy. I love it. So that's all we really have to say about story. Not too much. Let's talk about the most important part of the game. As it's a platformer, let's talk about platforming. We can go back and forth on this one. I thought extremely responsive and smooth. I don't even know if I played a smoother game. It is very, very smooth. I think I was playing at 120 FPS, so let's keep that in mind. So that might have played a big role to it, but it was really smooth and it ran really well. And it allowed me to make some of the quicker movements it expected you to make. How was movement for you?
Movement for me as well was also very responsive and whatnot. I'm obviously limited by the refresh rate of my monitor, so I just know I was moving at 60 frames for certain. The game definitely lent itself to I don't want to. How do I want to put this? It's not like. Okay, I'm gonna compare it to a different game. It's sort of kind of. If you've experienced Hollow Knight and its Metroidvania style of gameplay and whatnot, and how it's very rigid in some ways with how its movement can be, at least until you get upgrades later. Ori is very flowy. So if Hollow Knight is like as solid as a rock, then Ori is essentially the wind. You'll be moving from one location to another, from platform to platform with ease. But the problem is it's so easy that you can mess up. And by that I mean, because it's so responsive, like you say, because it's so smooth, they can get away with you having to be precise with when you time your jumps. I've died several times on some points in the game where it asked me to make one leap and bound, and I could just barely make it.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
I agree. I had several deaths, especially the last level, which I was trying to rush through because I thought the game was over, and boom.
No, I died a lot there, too.
I do want to hint on that the restart, I know that I don't have this in the outline, but the restart, how you save, I always forgot to freaking do it. And I die, and I go all the way back, and I just want to cry. It was so punishing. Yeah,
the game is very punishing in that sense. And I'm surprised with how much else the game has to it. I'm not going to jump too much farther down in this list, but the fact that it has a skill tree to begin with surprises me. I don't expect that, but hey, they did it. And the game, Ori and the Blind Forest, in some ways, is definitely a Metroidvania. It's just not as deep as you would expect for
it's
it.
It's like a
simple
version.
Metroidvania. Yeah, it's a very simple one. Doesn't go as deep and as hard as something like Hollow Knight, but it goes deep enough to say, hey, yeah, you kind of fall in this genre just a little bit. Metroidvania light.
Agreed. And let's talk.
Well, actually, no, I take that back. Because to some extent you need more freedom than Ori allows you to have, but you have to go to very specific locations a lot of that time. While something like Hollow Knight, you could go to a location early. Whether or not you can progress through it is a different story.
Right, and I think this game blocks you off a little more, but I do think that makes it a little easier to get into. Hollow Knight kind of scared me away, so there you go. Let's talk a little about the puzzles. I just wanted to mention that, I thought they had so much variety in the gameplay, and that the puzzles were a big, just such a big play on how we did things. Like, I really liked, there was this level where you're using gravity. That was really unique. The beginning was not, right? It's just platforming. Then they just added new features as you got along, and they're varying the difficulty. Some of them were very hard, lava level. Some were very easy. And then there was the freaking runaway. As places exploded, those were always hard, by the way. Every single time. They were never easy. Never.
That's essentially them saying, okay, you've learned how to use that new ability you got for this area. Now become a pro at it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's...
seconds.
It's
like
nuts.
5 seconds.
I really enjoyed the variety, and I think that really brought the game together for me.
Speaking of that gravity puzzle, I was stuck there for so damn long. Not because I didn't know what to do. I knew what to do. I just couldn't do it right. And I was like, I don't understand. What if I climb on this side and I jump, I go this way. I don't think I didn't realize that those cubes were direction based. So what I had to do was essentially, instead of just jumping off and flying one way, I had to go to the other side, jump, and then down would be a different direction.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, and I ended up doing it on accident. I'm like, I nearly put down my controller and turned off the game and said, I'm going to bed.
I remember that.
I was stuck there for 30 minutes. And what sucked was, you have an ability to put a, and this isn't a criticism of the game, it's a problem I have. You have the ability to put down a save point, a quick save. Or a checkpoint, I should say. You can put down a checkpoint to wherever you want, and that's where you also spend your skill points for the skill tree we'll talk about later. But this, I had put it down, saved, and this is when I kept messing up over and over again. I kept messing up. I couldn't get to the next point I needed to get to. As soon as I got what I needed to get, I dropped down, hit that save, and then I was like, okay, now I'm ready to keep going with the puzzle. It was rough. It was rough and a good.
They had several that are, had a few roughness to it, and others weren't. And I think the variety,
like I had no problem with the lava
wave, I think was good. I like that variety. Let's talk about skill tree that you've alluded to at least 6 times. So the skill tree is separated into
7.
Skill tree is separated into 3 types of abilities: utility, efficiency, and combat. So that's the 3 separate types that you get to put points in throughout the game. I actually think the game would have been fine without these. I'm just going to say it. But having them
too.
Was also a good
cool
thing.
Addition.
Right. Like, it was a plus to the game. It was like something they did that they didn't have to really do to make the game even more special. And I really enjoyed that. I did mostly combat because the enemies were annoying. So I did combat.
Yeah.
I thought the utility and efficiency skills looked really cool. And I had a hard time. And I was hoping I could get more skills, but you'd have to do a lot of backtracking. And since I wanted to beat the game in less than 10 hours, I didn't do any backtracking. So I only got to do really maxing out the combat abilities.
Yeah, I don't remember what I maxed out the most, but I do agree that the enemies were annoying, and that's probably what I started with. I probably started with the combat. Some enemies were not that bad, especially when you gain the ability to essentially deflect their shots at them at the risk of sending yourself flying somewhere
great
else.
Ability.
Yeah, it is a fun ability. There is one enemy in particular that I just say "fuck you" in particular all the time, and it's the frog one, whatever that one that is.
The freaking monkey, the monkey
lands on your head.
Yeah, the monkey.
Yeah, I don't like.
Yeah, not my favorite. He was bad. I also hated the freaking rhino. That was annoying. Spider was cool. It was fine once you have that ability. It's just, I'm gonna go after your shots. I liked how they actually made use of the shots that attacked you and how you can use that ability to pop around. This is going to get us into world abilities. The world abilities were next level to me. I thought they were really cool. Like the one where you're deflecting shots, that one was essential the rest of the game. Like you're jumping shot to shot to shot to shot. You get the ability to climb walls. That was one. Double jump was like, I don't even know why we didn't start with that. That was one. I'm trying to think of. There was one where you bomb off the wall. You just tunnel. I think that. I mean, they were all really cool. None of them were boring. Maybe double jump. Double jump was boring, but most of them were really cool and really added to the gameplay and allowed you to get to new areas and you could go back and explore if you wanted to. Once again, I did not do that, but it just added to the game, and I thought that was good. And that's the Metrovania style play.
The game does allow you to define your own play style to some extent. Like me, I abuse the heck out of the deflect/jump ability. I keep forgetting what it is. But I did that whenever I messed up and I'm like falling. I'm like, okay, I can't. I'm falling. I need another way up there. Oh, you're trying to shoot at me. No,
yep,
don't mind
if I
do. And I just fire myself up. And sometimes it looks really cool in quick succession. Like when you're on a roll and you're like just following the flow of things like, okay, bounce here, bounce here, bounce here, bounce here, bounce there, climb the wall, bounce, oh crap, get away from me. And that's the feeling you get whenever you're trying to escape. When the world is falling apart around you because you fixed something. It's all in all, the skill tree, while not needed necessarily, was a much welcome addition to the game. I say addition like we played a version that didn't have one, but you know what I mean.
Well, other than abilities, let's talk world design. I think that's the other thing that draws people to this game. The game is absolutely beautiful.
That's the
number one thing. I mean, the 2D world, it has variety. The backdrops are cool. Some of the backdrops are interactive with like the owl that you fight in the background. I know the long-legged creature is in the background sometimes as well. So they really use that background uniquely as even a 2D world to make it have some 3D aspects at times. It's not consistent. And I think that's really cool. And then every area has its own theme, and they push that theme hard, and I really like that. And then the last thing I want to mention is the character models are so freaking bright and lovely. I love it. Ori is the brightest thing on the screen all the time. You cannot miss it. And I have this ultra wide, so I'd be looking for him. Can't miss him. I have to say, I really enjoyed that as well.
The world is indeed absolutely gorgeous, and it's one of the most memorable things next to the soundtrack that makes me think back to Ori and the Blind Forest and smile. But thankfully, we have another game for it. So whenever we get around to that, if we ever get around to that, I'll be looking forward to diving into that again. Just if only to see the beautiful art style.
Let's give our closing thoughts on the game. For closing thoughts on the game, I thought the game was very good. There's nothing to hate about it. Now, I'm not a huge platformer fan anymore. I just can't get into it as much as I used to. So I was ready for the game to end once I got to the end. But in terms of a platformer, I mean, this is one of the better ones, 100%. I've played Celeste as well. I like Celeste. I think I like this one actually a little bit better. It's an easier game, but just the beauty of it and how fun the gameplay is, I think it's one of my probably top end on the platforming side.
I did not regret my time with Ori and the Blind Forest at all. It's a really fun game, really short game, depending on how long you want to take with it. You can get through it pretty quickly, but even then, for the experience that you get, it's very well worth the money you'd spend.
Well, all right. I think that's all we've got for now. Thanks to you all for stopping through to listen here at DuoQueue. If you think we might have glossed over something big or might need to expand on something, feel free to say so in the comments. Don't forget to share and leave a like. Next time you're waiting on a party or searching for a lobby, feel free to tune in again while you wait. See ya!
Don't overfill on fruit.